A helix is relatively simple to create with the sheet metal features using a lofted bend. All we need is two sketches to set up the two profiles. So I'll go ahead and create a new part, and I'm going to draw two circles out on the top plane. And I'll go ahead and give these two dimensions. And put them in separate sketches. And then I'm going to come into curves and create a helix from each one. And for the lofted bends, typically you'll only be able to use one revolution for the helix, as the flat pattern will generally overlap itself if you make this too much above 1. So 1.25, 1.5 sometimes works. Usually you want to stick to one revolution. In this case, I'm going to stick with the pitch of 3 inches. And I'll do the same here. Next, we can create a 3D sketch and convert over one of the helixes. And then we can create another 3D sketch for the second profile. Now all we have to do is come into lofted bend, select out the two profiles, choose the thickness, and click OK. And then when we go to flatten the part, it should create the flat pattern. Now you'll notice that if I have more than one turn, these are most likely going to overlap, and that'll cause the flat pattern to fail. So if I go ahead and modify these both, you'll see that the flat pattern fails, as this would self-intersect. So I'll go ahead and keep these at 1. And you can vary the dimensions between the helixes. And this feature generally should be able to complete. You will have to play around with it a bit. In this case, that change in the number of revolutions doesn't quite work for this. I'll go ahead and change the pitch slightly. And now you'll notice that it's no longer as straight of a loft. And that'll still flatten. There's a few other ways to create a helix as well. Instead of creating two of these helixes, we could have swept a surface up and converted over the two edges. So in this case of this helix, we have this surface that was swept from this sketch and this helix. And you'll also notice that this isn't normal to the plane that this is on. So you can also vary the geometry quite a bit using this swept surface option. And then you'll see two 3D sketches on either edge. And those two 3D sketches are selected to create the lofted bends. Lastly, You can also create a spiral with the Helix feature. And then simply convert over that sketch to a new plane, and then use the two to create a lofted helix or lofted spiral. But that's how you create helixes and spirals using the lofted bends tool.